Hey dudes and chicks and neither if those rules don't apply to you, welcome to Make It For Last Time. My name is Katie. Today I'm going to be showing you what I think are my top 10 picks for winter palettes, cool tone palettes. Some of them are appropriate for any season and I just think that they're particularly good for winter. Some of them I think are really only good for winter, or not necessarily only good for winter, but to use them at another time of year would be a waste, and I have so many other palettes to use during the different seasons that it would just be stupid for me to use these palettes in the summer. So, if you're interested in seeing that complicated bullshit, then just hang out. These are in no particular order. They're just the things that I think are the best. I'm actually going to start with the Baroque palette because I just did a review on this. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll put the link the video in the cards right here. I'm kind of close up right now. So I'll just link the video on the cards right here. You'll see the little thingy poo. This is what the palette looks like, and this is what the color story looks like. I've actually only used this palette once, but these like reddish tones are like particularly interesting to me. If you look at the package of it, you really can create something that is very reminiscent of what's going on the box. I just think this is a great cool tone palette. Every time I get an opportunity to buy a palette that is like this kind of color story, I kind of jump on it because it's weird to me how fucking good a cool tone gray looks. It's like so sleek and elegant and classic, and I mean it's all the things, and I'm always surprised at how good I look in those looks. Do I think cool tones take a little getting used to? Absolutely. Like most people are used to wearing warm tones and they look good on them and they're not brown. So the second one is the Smoke Show palette, and it's actually called something else now. I don't fucking know what. I'm not current. I can't keep up with ColourPop. They are fucking too shifty. This is what the color story looks like, and this is honestly, I think, maybe the first cool tone palette that I ever wore. I was actually shocked at how good I looked in this palette. You know, you can go goth or you can go winter. You can wear any colors any fucking time you want, but I particularly was waiting for winter to come so that I could wear this palette. I just think it's great for winter, and I think also, like, I feel like switching up your color stories for seasons kind of makes you look forward to the seasons. I know a lot of people really look forward to the fall so that they can wear those color stories, and I'm just not, I don't know, those color stories aren't really speaking to me right now. I haven't done really any fall looks. Maybe one. I don't think I've filmed anything for fall, but it is 2020. The whole thing has been a fall. Stupid. This one doesn't have those like warmer colors in it. That's why I bought the Baroque palette. I thought that I knew that it was going to be very different than the Smoke Show. If I didn't, I wouldn't have bought it. So I'm going to go into Lime Crime now. I feel like Lime Crime is particularly good at making winter palettes. Now, it could be posited that the Venus XL and the original Venus palette would be like fall colors because they've got those rusty reds and those like those kinds of colors, but I feel like those are definitely winter palettes, and I just didn't throw them in here because it wasn't 10. It was more than 10. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Venus Immortalis. The color story looks like this, and what spoke to me the most when I first saw this was this weird shimmer right here. Actually is a very unusual color. It's kind of like, it's like a mauvey grayish color. I don't know. I just, like, I saw that color and I just thought it was so beautiful. Like, something about it really spoke to me. And so even though I feel like this color Cameo is almost a waste, it's really like a blender shade. And when you've only got 8 colors in a palette, that's $38 fucking dollars. Well, fuck that, man. But I couldn't resist it, and I couldn't resist this maroon tone right here. And quite frankly, that color is like so special. It's like, I don't know, what it looks like on my finger is not what it looks like on the eyes. It's just so, it's like magical. I'm trying to see if you guys can see like how it's just so weird. Oh, there we go. Like you can kind of, I don't know if you guys can see it on here, but if you look at this deepest part right here, and then especially like these colors mixed together, I feel like this was the Baroque palette before the Baroque palette, right? It has a black, and then also I love this color Marble. It's like super, it looks like really creepy and bony. A lot of people didn't like this palette because of the color Moth, but I think that you just really have to know how to use that color. I think the fact that it's so satiny is kind of caught people off guard, but I don't know. There was something about it. I could not get enough of it. I have videos for all of these palettes except for 2 of them. I do have a video on the Muerte palette, but it's not what you think it is. If you guys want to do that, then you can go ahead. But I didn't really do any looks in that video. I just talked about how fucking crushingly disappointed I was at the Muerte palette. I'll link as many of these in the cards as I can, and then I'll leave the rest listed in the description box. Also, I just started, and I'm not quite done yet, but I basically started a playlist. I think I learned this from Karen Harris, but I started a playlist for each particular brand so that you'll be able to go into my videos, and if you're interested in learning more about a particular brand that you've seen me do videos on, then you'll be able to do that. So anyways, so the next one, this is actually my #1 favorite palette of basically all time. I've used this palette more than any other palette except the Modern Renaissance. I love it so much. This color right here makes this palette so special, and then these two together, they're just so elegant and rosy and dusty, and like, I don't know why, I feel like pink and purple are really winter colors, or at least they can be, especially if you use them with a gray or a grayish or some kind of color like that. But this palette, I mean, this is it for me. This is my #1 favorite winter palette. I actually should have done that last, because honestly, if any of these palettes qualify, it's this one. This is my favorite. But I love pink, so those are those 2 colors together, and they just, oh, this isn't doing it any justice, and I'm going to be a fucking filthy mess when I'm done with this. But my next palettes I'm going to talk about, well, I'm actually going to talk about the Ace Beaute Paradise Fallen palette. And this is a purple palette, but it screams winter to me. This pink, this silver right here, and then these grays right here, that's what really make this palette, like mixed with these purples. This palette screams winter to me. I feel like I wait for this palette to use it in the winter, just because it's so like, it looks like stone and bone and coldness. It looks like you're freezing your ass off. Just kidding. So I'm going to talk about Melt, because I do feel like some of my best, even though I've had fucking nothing but fucking shit from these guys, I believe that the Melt Muerte palette is in my top 10 best winter palettes. The color story looks like this, and when the fuck else would you wear this? I mean, I know people are like, I would wear that any day of the year. Well, fuck, I would too. And this is like, if you're the kind of person who looks forward to like winter looks, this is fucking nuclear fucking winter. It doesn't get any more fucking winter than this. Like, this is fucking death and dying and rot and decay. So, I mean, it's the Day of the Dead, right? So whatever. This is winter. And I'm not gonna swatch any of these. Then the other one I think is the Millenial Pinx, and I think what made this palette so special and so popular and so appealing, like visually appealing, is these cool tone grays and this slate blue down here. And so I feel like these are the colors that made this palette, like, if you just saw this, you wouldn't give a fuck about these colors, but it was these colors that really pulled this palette together and really made people want to buy it. And it was really these colors that made it special, and it's also really these colors that when I did, I'll link the video in the cards or somewhere, when I did the video using this palette, it just looked so sexy. I mean, it looked fucking sexy, dude, and it was these colors that really did that. So this is like, gotta be in the top 10. And then I saved these three palettes for last because I just love the brand so much, and they're kind of newer and whatever. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Valkyrie palette by XNL Cosmetics. This is the color story, and it doesn't get any more fucking winter than this. They just came out with a palette, or I don't know, but they have a palette called Frostbite, and it's pretty winter, but this is like a sleeper. This like you didn't see this coming as the best fucking winter palette. It's got this fucking maroon, it's got a black, and then it's got these icy colors. They're all icy, and then this is like actually pretty wintry too. The look I came up with when I did this, and I'll leave that video linked in the cards, was very icy. So I just felt like I had to put this in here just because I don't want to give you guys a list of fucking Modern Renaissance and fucking Venus XL. I mean, I have them all. We've talked about them all. I've had them on there. I probably did them last winter, but I didn't want to do them again this winter. I wanted to do some things different, and I feel like this is kind of an up and comer. And then also I want to talk about Lucky Bunny Cosmetics. Now, I will tell you that if things weren't the way they were, like, I would definitely have the Blue Blood palette and the Bloodlust palette. I absolutely would have them in this. The grayish murky tones that are in those palettes are like, I won't say nothing touches them, but I will say they're not they're not duplicatable. They're not just replaceable. Like everybody's like, oh, I have that. Oh, I can dupe that. There is something about some of the tones in those two palettes that make it very fucking winter, very murky, very cold, cold to the heart, right? And so I wanted to talk about Lucky Bunny Cosmetics because I feel like they kind of capture, not the same spirit, but like they have these like murkier tones that are like these grays right here, and then these like murky tones, and then this green. But this purple, it too is really, this purple is in both of these palettes that I'm going to talk about, and it really is transformative, and it really takes this from being like upbeat, an upbeat happy palette right here in this quad, and then all around the edges is like a winter frigid fucking murky ass swamp rat bitch. So, yeah, I think that Lucky Bunny Cosmetics really nailed that winterish look. And then the other one is like Absolute, the Absolute. And this is the Greed palette. And I just feel like this whole thing, except maybe these two colors right here, is definitely winter. So like these two colors, but this color right here, if you mix it with any of these other colors, it becomes a winter palette. So I think that pink and purple are like the utmost. I mean, obviously light blue, any of your icy colors, gray, but I mean, I feel like pink and purple are the ones that you don't think about. And I feel like this Envy palette really brought green to another level. And I'm really happy that I have this because I'm really sad that I'm not getting the Jeffree Star Blood Money palette. You can go ahead and grab your torch and pitchforks.
Grab your torch and pitchforks.
But I'm like super sad that I'm not getting that palette. And I'm just really excited about this palette because it kind of brought green into the winter. I mean, technically green is like kind of a springy color where you're like, yay, everything's growing and it's new life, and yay, and it's leprechauns, yay. And like this kind of brought it back to like the swamp thing. So I'm not saying this isn't a spring palette, but I ain't saying it ain't a winter palette, and I'm really glad that I have it. So anyways, those are my top 10 palettes. Let me know what you think. I'll list the video links to all the videos that I have on these palettes anywhere that I fucking can. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell because you can't wait to see what happens next. Hit the like button if you like this video or you want to hear more content like this. And that was on the fly. And hang out with me in the comments because I fucking love it. Thank you guys so much for watching. You could have been anywhere, but you were here with me. And I totally appreciate you. Later.